Hi there. My name is Emma Berry. I live in the 3rd U.S. Congressional District of Texas. This is the second in a series of reports, videos that I'm making regarding myths. Myths that I believe have harmed the American people. Myths that have been perpetuated primarily by the wealthy of this nation and the multimillionaires who are in charge of Washington, D.C. Back in the 1990s, rich Wall Street crooks, aided by multimillionaires in our Congress, put forth one of the most destructive works of propaganda that I think have been perpetuated on the American people ever. I refer to it as the Great Service Economy myth. We were told that a new industrialized revolution was upon us. We were told that the American worker was going to be transformed into a service worker, a computer expert. They were going to all be retrained. Manufacturing was obsolete, and they were going to ship it overseas for other people to do the dirty work. Well, nearly all of the same people who perpetuated this lie are still in the Senate, and at least half of them, such as Sam Johnson, are still in the House of Representatives. The truth behind this myth was that Wall Street and the wealthy wanted cheap labor. The truth behind this myth was these people did not believe that the American worker was entitled to a livable wage and a safe working place. So they picked up their marbles and they took them overseas. That's essentially what happened. And they left the American worker and the American people holding the bag. The truth is, there will always be a need for manufactured goods. There will always be a need for manufactured goods. Goods that were made by the hands of other human beings. Manufacturing will never be obsolete. Manufacturing is here to stay as long as our civilized society is here to stay. I have a suggestion, and as a matter of fact, I mailed a detailed report of that suggestion to all the mayors and all the towns and local communities in Dallas County yesterday. They should be getting it tomorrow. In addition, I have a copy that's available on my website, emmaberry.org, and you may download it and read it if you would like, and I hope that you will. Your local governments, in conjunction with the local Chamber of Commerce, have been selling you out to Wall Street for years. I don't think that it's some elaborate conspiracy. By and large, I think these local people had our best interest at heart. But they were sold and bought the Kool-Aid like the rest of us. They bought into the great Wall Street myth that what is good for Wall Street is good for Main Street. So to nourish that myth that the industrial age of manufacturing was dead, we were moving into a service economy and shipping the huge majority of American jobs overseas. Well, a few manufacturing jobs were left in the USA, but not nearly enough to support our economy. Thus, unemployment has risen to ridiculous heights, and competition for the few jobs available has become ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Local governments are selling out their citizens for the few crumbs that Wall Street is throwing out to them. For example, in order to attract the headquarters of a local Wall Street corporation to their community, The City Council of Plano in November of 2009 competed against its neighbor, Addison, to wean away Pizza Hut headquarters, located then in Addison, to attract them into the Plano community. And how did they do this? As far as I'm concerned, they did it by selling the farm. Plano City Council, Plano local government, gave Pizza Hut a cash incentive of $1.2 million. And there were other things that cost money that were thrown into the pot. In the end of it, the incentive given to this Wall Street corporation by a local government was in excess of $2 million. And who do you think foots the bill for this gift to Wall Street? It's the taxpayers. It's the taxpayers of Plano. Their property taxes have risen. It has to. The money has to come from somewhere. And when conservatives and Sideshow Bobs are yammering about property taxes, they don't ever mention the Wall Street connection. No, instead what these people do is they blame the poor in their communities. Well, it's not the poor who are making communities poor and raising taxes in communities. You need to look elsewhere. You need to get a grip on reality, people. It's time for these inequities to end. And I say that unless ordinary people like you and I step up to the plate and speak the truth, nothing is going to change. We need to begin by asking the right questions. It's not a question of who is driving the bus right now. We know who's driving the bus. The question that we need to ask is, what can we do to recover our local economies? And no, the standard conservative cliches of lower taxes, create tort reform, no, that's not even nearly sufficient. We need to establish in our communities local corporations. And by local corporations, I don't mean multinational corporations that are situated locally in your community. I mean corporations that are established by people in your community. They're owned locally. Ownership stays local. When a person moves from your community, they do not take their shares in their community corporation with them. They must sell them. And these local corporations are not designed to replace Wall Street corporations. They're designed to exist side by side with Wall Street corporations, and their primary purpose is to anchor local economies. Right now, as perfectly demonstrated by the Addison example that I recently gave you, right now a Wall Street corporation is open to the highest bidder. This is wrong, and this destabilizes local economies. So by creating local corporations, such as I define in my report, you will stabilize your local economy. You cannot depend on a Wall Street corporation with its global mindset to stabilize your local economy. That is just foolish. And the truth is that as long as there are human beings on this planet, we will need goods that were made by other human beings. We need to do something now to take back our local economies. It's time for innovation and new solutions, not more political cliches about lowering taxes and tort reform flung around by Sideshow Bobs and conservative politicians. We need real solutions. We need new innovation, not more of the same. Thank you.